Good afternoon, friends, and welcome. I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover, and I am a spiritual director and a music producer. Today, I want to spend a few moments reflecting on the goals of meditation and why practices of silence, stillness, and reflection matter so deeply in our lives. We live in a world that's filled with noise, notifications, responsibilities, worries, deadlines, conversations, opinions, and distractions that constantly compete for our attention. Many of us move from one thing to the next without ever truly slowing down long enough to notice what is happening within us or around us. But meditation invites us to pause, not to escape life, but to become more present to it. At its heart, meditation is about awareness. It is about learning to quiet the noise long enough to listen more deeply, listening to ourselves, to others, and for people of faith, to God. So often we think that peace comes from controlling our circumstances. But meditation teaches us that peace can also come from learning how to be still within our circumstances. In many spiritual traditions, meditation is not simply about emptying the mind, it's about centering the heart. In the Christian tradition, especially, meditation becomes a way of dwelling intentionally in God's presence. Scripture tells us in Psalm 46, for example, "Be still and know that I am God." And stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is attentiveness. Meditation helps us become aware of the thoughts we carry, the anxieties we suppress, the wounds we ignore, and the beauty we often overlook. It teaches us to notice instead of constantly reacting. And perhaps one of the greatest gifts of meditation, one of the greatest gifts that meditation offers is clarity. When we slow down, we begin to see ourselves more honestly. We notice our fears, our impatience, our attachments, and sometimes even the ways we avoid God, others, or ourselves. But we also begin to notice grace. We recognize moments of gratitude, compassion, resilience, and love that we may have just missed in the rush of daily life. Meditation also transforms how we relate to other people. You see, a quiet an attentive heart often becomes a more compassionate heart. And when we practice listening deeply within ourselves, we become better able to listen deeply to others. We become less reactive, less defensive, and more patient. We learn to respond with intention rather than impulse. This all matters because spiritual growth is never meant to remain private. True reflection should actually shape the way we live. If our meditation does not make us more loving, more merciful, more just, more patient, or more attentive to the dignity of others, then we may simply be seeking comfort rather than transformation. The goal is not perfection. The goal is presence. Presence with God. Presence with ourselves, presence with one another. Sometimes people assume meditation means achieving a completely silent mind. But anyone who has ever tried to sit quietly knows thoughts continue to come. So the practice is not about never being distracted. The practice is about gently returning to the breath, returning to prayer, returning to awareness, returning to God again and again. And maybe that is a beautiful metaphor for the spiritual life itself. We wander, we return. We become distracted, we return. We lose focus, we return. Meditation teaches us that returning is part of the practice, not failure within it. So today, perhaps the invitation is simple. Take a few moments to slow down, breathe deeply, step away from the noise. Allow yourself to become aware of God's presence, even in ordinary moments. You do not need perfect words. You do not need perfect focus. You simply need willingness. Because sometimes transformation begins not in striving harder, but in becoming still enough to listen. Thank you for taking this moment to reflect together today. Peace be with you, and I'll see you next time.